Hey scholars, so welcome to another lesson in well-ordered language with Mr. Brace. Last week we finished up chapter 1. In our last lesson I introduced adverbs and how to analyze and diagram a sentence that has adverbs in it. And today we're continuing along with that process and that practice. So let's go ahead and jump right in. So let's review a little bit. We learned that adverbs are part of speech. It modifies a verb, an adjective, or an adverb. It answers the question how, when, or where. Principal elements are parts of a sentence that are needed for the sentence to be completed. Those things are subject and predicate. Nouns are a part of speech. It names a person, place, thing, quality, or an idea. And noun can be singular or plural. And I have 23 helping verbs. Am, is, are, was, were, be, being, been, have, has, had, do, did, does, may, might, must, should, would, could, shall, will, can. So let's go ahead and get started in our practice from lesson B. So, suddenly, thunder cracked outside. See how much more interesting that sentence is now that we have some adverbs in there? Instead of, in our first lesson, we would have had thunder cracked. But then, with this sentence, suddenly, thunder cracked outside. It gives me more information and I can create a better picture in my mind when I'm reading it. So this sentence is a sentence because it is a group of words that expresses a complete thought. It is a declarative sentence because it makes a statement. So this sentence is about thunder. So I'm going to underline the word thunder. And I'm going to put a capital S above it because that tells me it's the subject. And then our sentence, the predicate verb, or the predicate is cracked because it's telling me about the subject. It tells me what it did. So I'm going to put a double underline because that's my predicate. And this shows me action, so it's going to be a predicate verb. Predicate verbs don't have any linking verbs, and there are no helping verbs in this sentence. So these are the principal elements of my sentence. I have my subject and my predicate. So now we go through and do modifiers. And remember, it's a little different. We start at the end of the sentence and work our way to the front. So outside tells me where the thunder cracked. So where it cracked. So it's modifying cracked. And since cracked is a verb, that means outside is an adverb. So I'm going to put ADV in the right-hand corner, the elbow opposite of the arrow. I'm going to show you a nice contrast now to show you what I mean with that. Suddenly tells me when the thunder cracked. So when it cracked. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm not going to connect the two. I'm going to create a whole new arrow like that. And I'm going to put my ADV in the left-hand corner this time. Whatever is opposite of the arrow, you write your ADV in the opposite corner, in that opposite corner. So I like this one because it shows you that nice contrast that you needed to see. And you can see that even though I have these two adverbs modifying the same verb, I still keep them separated. But if they were next to each other, then I would connect them. So if I'm going to diagram this sentence, first I'm going to draw my straight line. And then I'm going to write, or my straight horizontal baseline. And then I'm going to write my subject. Now, up until this point, most of our subjects have been the beginning of the sentence, so they've been capitalized. But in this sentence, it's not the beginning, so I'm not going to capitalize it. Thunder. Then I'm going to draw my vertical line. Cracked. Okay. Now I'm going to put my modifiers on my diagram in the order that they show up in the sentence. So the first one I'm going to do, I'm going to draw my diagonal line, and I'm going to put suddenly. Now, suddenly is the beginning of my sentence, and I need to show that in my diagram. So I'm going to capitalize it. Suddenly. And then I'm going to do my next adverb, outside. Outside. Okay, that's how you analyze and diagram that sentence. Okay. Thunder rumbles continually. Thunder rumbled continually. So in this sentence, this is a sentence because it expresses complete thought. It is it's a declarative sentence because it makes a statement. Sorry, I'm thinking about the next step. Sometimes you got to focus on what you're doing currently before you move on, because then you get stuck on what you're doing. So this is a declarative sentence because it makes a statement. This sentence is about thunder. So I'm going to underline it and put a capital S. The predicate of my sentence is rumbles. Rumbles tells me about thunder, specifically what is happening. So that's my predicate. I'm going to double underline it. And this predicate shows action, so it's going to be a predicate verb. I don't have any linking verbs in this sentence or helping verbs. So next step is to do modifiers. The word continually. Now, normally you don't do this, but I want you to notice ly, 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 continually. That tells me usually it's an adverb. So continually tells me about rumbles. Kind of tells me when. When is it happening? Continually. So that is, so I draw my modifier line from continually to rumbles, and then the opposite corner of my arrow, I'm going to write ADV because it is modifying a verb, which means it is an adverb. And also ly gave me that hint also. Okay, let's go ahead and diagram this sentence. So I'm going to draw my baseline. I have the word thunder as my subject. And this is at the beginning of the sentence, so I'm going to capitalize it. Draw my vertical line, and then rumbles. And then I draw my diagonal line from rumbles and write out what the word was continually. Oops, skipped ahead. There we go. Continually. All right. Okay. And see, simple adding to our steps, adding that diagonal line to our diagramming. Yeah. Let's go ahead and look at our workbook pages. In your text, it'll be on pages 38 and 39. We're looking at Lesson B today. So in Lesson B, analyze the following sentences and then diagram them in the space provided. Remember to use a ruler to draw the line. The straighter your line, the easier it is for you to diagram your sentence. And doing that now will help you later down the road when we're analyzing larger sentences. So, suddenly thunder cracked outside. That looks familiar. Look at that. We did it already. Go ahead and pause the video if you need to. B, Eden quickly hid. Eden quickly hid. There's our ly. You'll do that one on your own. C, Chip growled softly. Oh, there's another ly word. You're going to analyze and diagram that one on your own. D, Loki just purred. We'll analyze and diagram that one on your own as well. Number 2, imagine there's a thunderstorm raging outside. Write one sentence about thunder, being sure to include an adverb. That one, you can, something similar to my first one, thunder rumbles continually. Add something like that. Don't reuse my sentence. Be creative. You do your own work, but something like that. Okay, number 3, adverbs tell us how the verb is behaving, even if it is in the negative. So remember in our first sentence, I briefly talked about the word not and never being negative adverbs. So we're going to add not or never to them. For example, neighbors did call. Neighbors did not call. So in this, you're working on figuring out, does not or never fit best. So the first one, doors will shut. Doors will never shut. Doors will not shut. Keys do turn. Keys do not turn. Keys do never turn. Balls are thrown outside. Balls are never thrown outside, or balls are not thrown out inside. Ooh, I misread that sentence. Balls are thrown inside. Balls are not thrown inside, or balls are never thrown inside. And rackets do swing. Rackets do not swing. Rackets do never swing. What fits in there? And question number 4, what is an adverb? We did that in our workbook in lesson A. Write it out again. The more practice you get writing out, the better you memorize things. So if you need it, look it up in your glossary. Okay, that's all I have for you today, and I'll see you in our next well-ordered language lesson.